Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of the Golden Age. This time it is a fight between my friend Iron Major with the Fellhole Nations of the Dwarves versus my army, the Garden of Nurgle, my 2,000 point Legion of Nurgle army. So this is the very first video we're actually using our Legion of Nurgle army, and I'm super excited to use this army for the very first time. If you've been watching our video series Down with the Sickness, you've been noticing the progress we've been making on our Nurgle army, our Legion of Nurgle army. It is a very demon-heavy army list that we're using for this one, and if you guys have been watching our hobby side videos, you've seen us progress with this army over the course of the channel's history. So because of that, this is the very first game I actually get to use them against my old army that I used to use, which is the Fellhole Nations of the Dwarves. And so this time we're going to be taking my Garden of Nurgle army build against the Fellhole Nations gunline build that I have. We're going to see exactly how they kind of stack up against one another. Now we're going to do this one a little bit differently with the army list, because instead of just playing some background music, because the very first time I'm fielding this army, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I was trying to go for when I built the Garden of Nurgle army list that I'm using, and explain about what the units are, so that way you can understand why I'm using it and how I plan on using it. So if you want to fast forward ahead, that's perfectly fine, but we're going to give some detailing into the army list for this one. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Garden of Nurgle real quick. So for my Lord and Heroes choices, I have the King in yellow. He is a Demon Prince of Nurgle. He's the Warriors of Chaos version. He's also the General of my army. He's a level 2 wizard with the Lore of Death. I picked the Lore of Death because I already have Festus the Leech Lord as my wizard for this army. So because of that, I want to use a different lore for that one. I gave him Demonic Flight as well as Chaos Armor for obvious reasons, for him to move very quickly across the battlefield, and so they also has a little bit more survivability in close combat. I gave him Scaled Skin to give him a 1-up armor save, a Chaos Familiar, so that way he has additional lizard level he could use, as well as give him +1 to channeling. And I gave him Soul Feeder because the King Yale is going to be engaged in close combat quite a bit, and help him kind of heal up a little bit as well as he's fighting. I also kitted with the Sword of Striking, so that way he can get a +1 to hit. I give him the Charge Shield, so that way he can stop against cannon shots, and the Dragon Bane Gem for all those Lore of Metal magic spells that will be flying his way, as well as any flaming attacks. Up next I have Festus the Leech Lord, the empowered version. He comes from the End Time rules. He's a special character as a level 3 wizard with the Lore of Nurgle, and I've picked him because Festus the Leech Lord is a wonderful hero choice, lord choice. He gives regen saves 5-up to the unit he's with. He also gives poison attacks for his unit as well. I'm putting them with my Warriors of Chaos to give him those bonuses. Plus he has an interesting balance spell called Shroudling, so it basically puts everything within 12 inches of him into hardcover, which is going to be very important because I'm going up against a shooting army. So as you can imagine, having hardcover saves is going to be very important for my unit as they cross the battlefield heading towards the enemy lines. And hence that's why I call him the Garden of Nurgle, because you guys are supposed to be walking around everywhere growing, you know, horrible rotted botany and plants and stuff. My last hero choice is Barnabas the Scrivener. He's a Herald of Nurgle. He is my battle standard bearer for, you know, obvious reasons, and he has a lesser locus of virulence, so that way his plague bearers that he's in get a 5-up for their poison attacks. For my core, I have the Dustmen. It's, you know, 23 Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. They have full command as well as marked Nurgles. They got hand weapons and shields as well as Chaos Armor. I'm putting Festus in that unit, so that way they get poison attacks as well as regen. And then my second core choice is the Tallymen, which is 39 Plague Bearers of Nurgle. It's a huge unit with full command. Those guys have 5-up on their poison attacks, and the reason why I'm having those guys is because they make a good bullet magnet to be shot at because they're big units. Also, they're a good target unit to kind of tie up elite choices as well as my enemy infantry. And then finally, for my special choice, I have the Inglorious, which are 3 units of Nurglings. I'm using those guys so that way they can use their scout special rules, so that way they can take on war machines, beat chaff, you know, do all the little wonderful stuff they usually do. And that's my 2,000 point army for the Garden of Nurgle on this one. So we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what my friend Iron Major is bringing for his dwarf army, go ahead and pause, take a look at your own leisure. It's the same 2,000 point dwarf army list we've been using for the channel so far. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. No, All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Alright, so my friends and I are playing on a 4x6 table. The scenario is Battle Line, which is the standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. It is the most common type of battle report there usually is, and it's a favorite type of game that we like to play for our scenarios in Warhammer. So here's an overhead shot of the entire battlefield. As you can see, I'm deployed on the near side of the table. My front Iron Major is deployed on the far side of the table. And as you can see, he is playing my old 2,000 point Dwarven Holds army, my Dwarf army, the gun line build, the Fellhole Nations. As you can see, he's kind of castled up as well. Went for a denied flank. He has the table edge protecting his right hand side. And he's kind of gathered up and castled up in that corner there with all of his missile troops and war machines on the top of that hill. Pretty much what my plan is going to do is I'm going to try to flank his main lines with my Nurglings from the Inglorious. Now, the Nurglings aren't really going to be good for, fighting in close combat. I'm not really looking to break any units by having them charge, but I am looking forward to them tying up that unit of Clan Hellheim on the left hand side, so that way those handgunners can't shoot at the same time. Grim Borlaxon can't give his bonuses to the organ gun as well, and the reason why is because he'll be tied in close combat, won't be able to use his abilities in order to do that. Also, my second plan is just to pretty much assault across the entirety of the battlefield as always. I'm playing a Chaos Legion army, so I have to get in close combat. That's the only way I'm going to win. What I plan on doing is kind of sweeping around the left hand flank with my Demon Prince, with the King in Yellow. Hopefully I can get attacked from the left hand side with my Nurglings and the sweep across the middle. At the same time, send the Tallyman charging forward across the battlefield. Same thing with Festus the Leech Lord and the Dustman, as well as having them charge across the battlefield as well. My plan is to send my Tallyman straight towards the center to engage his Dwarf Warriors, so that way I can tar pit that huge horde of Dwarf Warriors. At the same time, I take the right hand flank with Clan Ysmir, the Vengeful Ones, with my Dustman as well as the Festus the Leech Lord, and hopefully catch him in a pincer attack and hopefully just over envelop him and just kind of destroy him that way. Because this is a dwarf gunline build, the best way to defeat it is by attacking the flanks, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for this one. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of the deployment. Alright, so for the deployment for the Legion of Nurgle on the left hand side, that is the Inglorious. That's my unit of 3 Nurglings, and they're deployed right there, so that way they can charge directly into the flank of Clan Hellheim on the right hand side. I'm using the Scout special rule for these guys to be deployed like this. And across the battlefield is the rest of my army. I have a pretty small list. On the left hand side, that is a King in Yellow, that is my Demon Prince of Nurgle. Right in the middle is the Tallyman, that is a huge honking huge unit of 39 Plague Bearers with my Herald of Nurgle looking at that unit as well. He's got the Lesser Locus of Virulence. I forgot how to pronounce it, but it basically gives a 5 up for their poison attacks, is what it does. And also on the right hand side, I have the Dustman, which is the unit of 23 Chaos Warriors, Mark Nurgle, and I have Festus the Leech Lord. That unit has both regen as well as poison attacks, so pretty heavy center lines for my army. And across the battlefield is the Fellhole Nations. This is the Dwarf army list. This is a very familiar army for those of you who are fans of my channel. That's the same 2,000 points of Dwarves I've been using for most of my battle reports for the Golden Age. On the left hand side, that's Clan Hellheim. That's a unit of 18 Dwarf Thunderers with full command, hand weapons and shield, and Dwarf handguns. In that unit is also Grim Borlaxon, who's a special character. In the middle, that's Clan Roadstalker, the Cursed Company. That is a unit of 37 Dwarf Warriors. In there we have Ragnar the Spellbreaker. He's a rune smith with a one rune of spellbreaking. We have York Iron Shadow Shield. He is a battle standard bearer Thane, who's on an Oathstone, who has a great weapon, Gromwell armor, as well as shield. He's got the Master Rune of Valaya on his standard bearer. And in the middle we have Lord Ivar Bodison, the Lord of Fallen Holds. He's a Dwarf Lord on shield bearers. He's got 2 runes of iron, 1 rune of fortitude, as well as a rune of parrying. And then right there on the right hand side, that is Clan Ysmir, the Vengeful Ones. That is a unit of 18 Quarrelers with dwarf crossbows as well as great weapons and heavy armor. And then behind them on the left hand side, that is the Decemberists of Winter's Past. That is an organ gun that has a rune of accuracy. In the center, that's the Remember, a grudge thrower with a rune of penetration. And the right hand side, that is the Sorrows of Eld, which is a cannon with a rune of forging as well as a rune of burning. And that pretty much makes up the army list for this one, as well as the deployment for Hydra Major. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 and we roll for to see who goes first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Legion of Nurgle, and I managed to win the initiative on this one, so I get to go first. And the first thing I do is I declare a charge with my Nurglings from the Inglorious. I made a really long bomb charge. I think I rolled a 10 for my 2d6, and then you added their 4 inches for 14. So because of that, those guys charge directly into the left-hand flank of Clan Hellheim, the Fall of the Dragonbacks, which is great because that means those handgunners can't shoot at my army. At the same time, that also kind of ties with Grim Borlaxon, so that way he can't give any bonuses for his accuracy against the sorrows of from the Decemberists of Winter's Past, which is the organ gun on the top of the hill there. At the same time, I just fly my general, the Demon Prince, the King in Yellow, and fly more to the left-hand side of that forest, right next to his statue, which is in the middle of the table there. There's a statue dedicated to the King in Yellow, setting him up to charge into the flank of the Clan Helheim as well as engage the dwarves on the left-hand flank. And meanwhile, across the battlefield, I march with the rest of my forces with the Tallyman as well as the Dustman. I move up their full 8 inches forward because I'm planning on attacking the charging directly into Clan Roadstalker with my Tallyman, and then charge directly into Clan Easmere with my Dustman. So that way I can get him into a full envelopment and hopefully destroy him that way. And that pretty much makes it my movement phase for this one. Here's a close-up of the Inglorious, charging directly into the flank of Clan Helheim, and like I said before, I have no illusions of winning combat with my Nurglings. I'm just hoping to tie up his handgunners so that way they can't shoot and use the Decemberists as efficiently as they usually do. And here's a close-up of the King in Yellow, getting ready to set up a wonderful flank charge left-hand side, right behind the statue which is dedicated to his namesake, which is actually kind of cool. And here's a close-up of the Tallyman as well as the Dustman getting ready to charge forward directly into the main battle lines for the Fellhill Nations. And that pretty much makes it the move phase on this one. So with the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. Alright, so during the magic phase, I actually get off a couple of spells off from my Lore of Death spells. The first thing I try to cast is Doom and Darkness off against the army originally to give them -3 to the leadership. But unfortunately for me though, my friend our major was able to dispel it with the Master Rune of Vyala. I think he used, actually, now I think about it, I think he used the Rune of Spellbreaking to get rid of that spell so that way I can use it. So I did cast the Fimbling Foe spell, which gives you -1 strength as well as -1 toughness. I cast that against Clan Helheim, so that way my Nurglings have a little bit of a better chance to survive against these handgunners, because I need to time up for a turn so that way I can stop Grim Warlocks from giving bonuses to the Decemberists of Winter's Past. And that took place in the magic phase on the left-hand side. I then cast the Curse of Bunja against Lord Ivar Bodison, which basically causes 2d6 minus toughness. So I actually managed to do pretty good on this one. I managed to cause 2 wounds onto Lord Ivar Bodison, also managed to give him stupidity as well for the remaining play spells. So that part's kind of nice as well. Now I'm not really thinking the stupidity is going to do much because dwarves have leadership never breaks type of leadership. So because I do have to worry about that part, but I did manage to put 2 wounds on Lord Ivar Bodison. That guy carries quite a bit of wounds because that's what he's designed to do. He's designed to be a tank and to take punishment as well. I do manage to take out Iron Mage's a couple of dispels on other smaller spells from the Lore of Nurgle, but the last spell I do decide to cast off is the Shrouding spells, which puts everything within 12 inches of Festus Leechlord into hard cover, so that way it's -2 to hit against my Tallyman as well as against my Dustman as well, so that way they're protected against some long-range fire, which is very important because I'm playing against a gunline build, and all the bonuses to minus to hit against me is very, very important for my army. And that pretty much makes it the magic phase. And since I have no shooting phase because I'm playing a Chaos Legion army, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, my Nurglings do manage to kill, I think, 2 dwarves from Clan Helheim, so that part was kind of cool. And the dwarves only managed to put 1 wound left onto my Nurglings as well. So luckily for me, I do be able to keep these handgunners engaged in close combat for another turn, which is really important for me, so that way I can stop, their shooting abilities, which is pretty important for me. So with that being said, that pretty much makes it the turns. With that, we go directly to the bottom, turn number 1 for the dwarves. Alright, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the dwarves. This is after the movement phase. As you can see, Iron Mage doesn't do very much movement with them because they're dwarves and there's no reason for them to move. So he does do, however, is a quick reform with his handgunner, so Clan Helheim is now in mass against my Nurglings, so that part's pretty rough because now I can bring the full bear of close combat ability of those handgunners against my Nurglings, and my Nurglings don't stand a chance against that. For the rest of his army, though, he keeps them exactly where they're located at. So with the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And in the magic phase, he does use the Master Rune of Vyala to remove the remain in play spells. He was unable to stop Enfeebling Foe, so because of that, Clan Helheim is still -1 strength as well as -1 toughness, which is kind of rough for them. But at the same time, though, he's able to take away stupidity from Lord Ivar Bodison as well, so that part is kind of nice. So with the magic phase over with, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, I actually got off kind of lucky on this one. The first thing he did is he opened up with his cannon from the Sorrow's Eld, and the cannon did directly hit against my general, but I used his Charm Shield ability in order to stop that, so because I was able to stop that wound from actually going through. So I got pretty lucky with that one as well. I used on my 2-up ward save, and that's the one-use ability that shield actually has. After that, he then opened up with the Remember, but his shot way off course. I think it landed off like 6 inches to the left, so because that completely missed my general. He then opened up with his organ gun, and unfortunately for him, because because he didn't have the 5-up ballistic skill from Grim Borluxon to hit against me at long range. He had to use ballistic skill 4 basically, because he gets +1 to hit with the Rune of Accuracy. He only managed to get off 6, managed to hit me 6 times. I ward saved most of it, and as well as armor saved most of it as well. But however, I did manage to lose 2 wounds onto my general. So that part is kind of sad. He's about a third of the way down. But that's okay though, because if I engage him in close combat, I can heal those wounds with Soul Feeder, hopefully, in close combat. And so that's just kind of what the blow. Now, the rest of his shooting phase, he took Clan Izmir to open up against my, excuse me, try to open up against my Chaos Warriors. But unfortunately for him, because of my Shroudling's abilities, he had to roll a 6 in order to hit me. He wasn't able to do so. So because of that, that Shroudling spell has already paid for itself in terms of point as far as I'm concerned. So with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, Clan Hellhind started curve stomping my Nurglings and just crushing them underfoot. I was unable to cause any additional wounds to that unit. They managed to put, not only to kill 1 base of Nurglings through close combat, but because of the difference in combat resolution, they managed to destroy a 2nd base and put 2 more wounds on my 3rd base of Nurglings. Luckily for me though, Nurglings are demons, so they're unbreakable, so I don't have to worry about taking break tests, but that unit's about halfway from dying, and that's pretty rough. So with the combat phase over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Legion of Chaos. So that takes us directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Legion Nurgle, and with a YOLO in the air, I just charge forward with everything that I have. I charge forward with my, I originally declared a charge with my general, for my general, the King in Yellow, managed to make that flying charge across the battlefield directly into Clan Hellhind, so I engaged those guys in close combat. At the same time, I charged forward with a Tallyman. They made it completely right directly into Clan Roadsoaker, so because of that, those 2 huge horde units will be fighting it out in close combat. At the same time, I declared a charge with my Dustmen, and those guys managed to charge directly across the battlefield directly into Clan Izmir. Now, Clan Izmir did try to stand and shoot with their crossbows, but then again, I am still technically behind hard cover, so because of that, all their shots were kind of useless trying to hit me across the battlefield as they came charging forward, so I didn't lose any Dustmen in the process of doing so. And like I said before, that Shroudling spell, it is worth its weight in gold, especially if you're fighting against a gun-heavy army. And that pretty much makes it the move phase on this one. Here's a close-up of my general, the King in Yellow, charging directly into Clan Hellhind. I'm really excited to see exactly how I'll go with that one, so really see exactly what a Demon Prince of Nurgle can do against a unit of Dwarf handgunners. And here's a close-up of the Tallyman as well as a Dustman, charging directly into Clan Roadsoaker and Clan Izmir, and I'm really excited to see how these go during the combat phase. So with the movement phase over with, we go directly to the top of the magic phase. And in the magic phase, I actually got this one off pretty good. I cast the Curse of Bunya again, once again against Lord Ivar Bodison. Managed to put 2 more wounds onto him, which part was pretty awesome as well, as managed to cause stupidity for him and put that spell right back onto him. So that part was pretty awesome as well. However, there was a downside to using that magical spell. When I cast it irresistible, so because of that, I miscast 8.
Klaatu! Veranda!
Which in turn also caused magical feedback, which means that every wizard in my army takes a strength 6 hit. So because I did cause a wound onto my king in yellow, so my Demon Prince is now halfway dead, which is absolutely terrifying. And I also managed to put a wound onto Festus the Leech Lord too, which is pretty rough as well. And that's pretty rough because I'm going directly into close combat, which is pretty tragic. But you know, them's a break. I did only lose 2 dice from the power pool, so I rolled pretty good on this one. I think I rolled like a 9 or 10 for my power dice. So because of that, I'm still going pretty strong with in terms of my magic phase. And for the rest of my magic phase, I do cast my spell Curse of the Leper off onto the Clan Roadsoaker, and when I rolled to see how much toughness they dropped by 3 toughness. So that part was pretty impressive as well. So now these dwarves are now toughness 1 dwarves, which is pretty awesome for my plague bearers as well. I did try to cast off Putrescent Blades to increase my poison attacks for my Chaos Warriors, but unfortunately though, my opponent was able to dispel that spell as well. I also tried to cast, what was the other one as well? That was the one where I basically give regeneration, Fleshy Abundance, that was the other one. I tried to cast a Fleshy Abundance as well, but my opponent was able to dispel that one as well with his Master Rune of Ayala, so I was really lucky to get off the spells that I did. So with the magic phase over with, we skip the shooting phase and we go directly to close combat. So in the combat phase, the first thing I had to do is declare a challenge with Festus the Leech Lord because he has the Eye of the God special rule. My opponent decides to answer with his champion. Needless to say, Festus had no problem whatsoever just putting the curb stunk on that guy. I managed to get +1 strength from where I would dart my chaos rewards from the table from that, so that part was kind of nice as well. For the rest of the combat phase, the dwarves from Clan Izmir only managed to kill 3 of my chaos warriors, so that part was pretty rough for my opponent Iron Major. It wasn't from a lack of trying though. He actually did cause quite a bit of wounds onto my Chaos Legion, but my Regent saved saves were actually the ones that was saving me. My armor saves were not doing very well, but those 5 region saves, I was just making like I couldn't go, like I was going out of style. So that part was pretty nice as well. In return, though, I managed to kill, I think 7. No, I managed to kill 8. That's what it was. I managed to kill 7 dwarf warriors, 1 champion. That's what ended up happening. I killed 7 dwarf quarrelers in the process of combat. So needless to say, I won this combat by just an avalanche of destruction. Clan Izmir was forced to break. I pursued, I ran that unit down, and at the same time overran directly into the Stars of Eld. So now my opponent's cannon, Iron Major's Great Cannon, is now engaged in close combat with my Chaos Warriors, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. So that part was kind of cool. Meanwhile, across the battlefield with the King in Yellow against the left-hand column, I was fighting against Clan Helheim. Needless to say, the Clan Helheim absolutely destroyed my last 2 Nurglings, so that part was kind of sad as well. However, the real rock star of this combat was the King in Yellow. He managed to put 4 kills onto this unit, managed to kill 4 Quarrelers with his regular normal attacks. Managed to kill 4 more Quarrelers with his Thunder Stomps as well, which is pretty amazing. My opponent was unable to cause any wounds back to me because he's only carrying hand weapons and shield. Even with Grim Warlocks, he was able to cause any damage for the most part. So because of so many kills, I also got to Soul Feeder as well, managed to heal 1 of my wounds from my general, so now he's only carrying 2 wounds now, which is actually kind of nice as well. So needless to say, my opponent needed to take a break test because of the overwhelming landslide of combat in my favor. And unfortunately for my friend Iron Major, he failed his break test, and he had to flee. He rolled a 7 in order to escape, and I rolled a 9 to pursue, so needless to say, I destroyed the entirety of Clan Helheim, and I charged directly into the left-hand flank of Clan Roadsulker. So now Roadsulker is now engaged in pincer attack between my Tallyman as well as my Demon Prince on the left-hand side. So things are not looking very good for the Dwarves. And the combat between the Tallyman as well as Clan Roadsulker was an absolute slaughter. Slaughter for me, if you think about it. I only managed to kill, I think, about 15, I managed to kill 15 Dwarf Warriors when it was all said and done. Now, compare the number of attacks that I have going into this against Toughness 1 Dwarves. I did terrible, in my opinion, against that. I should be causing a lot more deaths and destruction like Toughness 1 Dwarves. And those Dwarves, though, man, they took it right to me, man. They cut down, I forgot how many guys, I think it killed 20? I think they ended up doing, killed nearly half of my army of my Tallyman just from their combat phase alone by the time all is said and done, because I think 5 of them actually got vaporized by my instability rules for my demonic instability for my armies. So, but man, those Dwarf Warriors, even with toughness 1, these guys are still deadly because they have heavy armor and shields, and they also get +1 parry saves when they get charged against. They have a 5-up board save with those parries in close combat. So those guys were actually doing pretty well against my attacks. Kind of flooded most of my rolls, rolled a lot of 1s when I was going more in combat phase, so that part was kind of tough. So, but luckily for me though, Demons of Nurgle for my Plague Bearers are unbreakable, so I don't have to worry about taking break tests. I just get to stand my ground is all I get to do. I just lose the difference in combat res, and now I got this army locating a pincer attack, so that part's kind of nice as well. And that pretty much makes it the combat phase for turn number 2 for the Chaos Legion. Alright, so go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Dwarves. This is after the movement phase. As you can see, everything is engaged in close combat, so nothing really moves, and the rest of his army is war machines, and they really can't move, and they really can't shoot either, which pretty much makes up his shooting phase as well as magic phase. He does try to cast some dispels with his Master Vayala, but unfortunately for him, though, he failed all of his tests. He rolled a bunch of 1s and 2s, so because of that, all those remaining place spells are still taking place with his stupidity, as well as -3 to his toughness, so that's pretty rough. So with that over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, he does declare a challenge with his general against my general as well, so the 2 of them do go in close combat. Luckily for me, he was unable to cause any wounds, and luckily for me, because I had the Sword of Striking, his -1 to hit with his Rune of Parrying didn't really do much for him, and my general was able just to obliterate Lord Arvar Bodison, which is the remainder of his attacks on close combat, as well as his Thunderstomp attacks as well. This guy was already carrying 4 wounds already from my Curse of Bunya on him, so that part was kind of nice. I was able to put the last 3 wounds on him, and I managed to kill this Dwarf Lord and squash him beneath the decayed and jaundiced feet of my Demon Prince of Nurgle, so that part was kind of cool. Needless to say, for the combat phase, for the rest of the combat phase, my Dustmen had no problem destroying the Stars of Eld, so we destroyed that cannon and they repositioned in such a way to get ready to charge the rest of the battle line for the rest of the war machines. In the end, I did manage to kill 14 Dwarf Warriors with my rest of my Plague Bearers, and I managed to kill only 5 of my Plague Bearers in return, so combat was definitely much more in my favor this time. Now, unfortunately for my friend, because he lost by, 9 points, I think he was going to be doing, he did have to take a break test and he did have to flee. And needless to say, I ran down those Dwarf Warriors and killed the entirety of Clan Roadsucker, and I overran directly into the Remembers. Now because of that, my enemy's Grudge Thrower is now engaged in close combat. I also did a quick combat reform with my general as well, so that way he's facing down the Decemberist of Winter's Past, so that way we engage that into close combat next. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us directly to the end of the battle report, because this ended up being a victory for yours truly. And the reason why is because my friend decided to kind of surrender at this point because he didn't really have anything left to fight in his army. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the after action report, because this battle report is now officially over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king.
Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, now it's time for the after action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for the Golden Age Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report number 46, and it being a victory for yours truly. So in the end, I did lose my Inglorious, which are my 3 Nurglings. However, Iron Major, he lost Lord Ivar Bodison, the Lord of Fallen Holds, Grim Borluxon, Yorick Shattershield, Ragnar the Spellbreaker, Clan Roadsucker, the Cursed Company, Clan Ysmir, the Vengeful Ones, Clan Helheim, the Fallen, the Dragonbacks, as well as the Sorrows of Eld. And for all those naysayers out there who say that dwarf gunline armies are broken or overpowered, let this be an object lesson to you: they are not. And the reason why I say that is because, just like I said in every single battle report up to this point, if you want to destroy a gunline build, all you have to do is attack the flanks, because with a dwarf army, they can either move or they can shoot for the most part, so you got to outmaneuver them, and that's the way you defeat them. Nothing in wargaming is broken or overpowered. It's just that it may be powerful in some cases, it may be, really advantageous in some cases. What you have to do is look for the exploit, and to exploit that and to destroy them that way. So stop complaining, stop being bitter, find a workaround, and get to it. In this case, my army was able to do that. And this reason why I was able to do that is because magic was basically what won me this battle. That spell, Shroudlings, that my the Festus the Leech Lord empowered gets to use, was very, very important, because it protected my main infantry forces as they marched across the battlefield to engage my friend Iron Major. So pretty much all of his shooting was pretty much uneventful, and plus, since I was putting pressures on his flanks, he was directing most of his firepower to my general instead of working towards my military forces. And the way that I kitted out my general, he was able to defend against some of the artillery that was coming his way. So that part was very important. Another thing was really important as well is Lore of Death. Lore of Death is no joke. I never really thought much about Lore of Death because it's kind of a short range kind of lore ability, spells abilities, but it does a lot of damage and are very powerful against anti-magic armies, because whatever damages you cause, if you roll d6 and get a 6 up, you get that in return in magic dice to use for your power pool. So I might have to reconsider taking this lore, and I'm kind of upset I didn't use it sooner, because the Curse of Bunya, for example, is very, very powerful. Same thing with Doom and Darkness, same thing with Enfeebling Foe. I can see how these can be very, very important against your opponents, especially if you're fighting against a high strength, high toughness enemy as well. One of the things that was surprising for me, though, is I surprised how poorly my Plague Bearers did. I lost too many, in my opinion, because I had this huge hoarding that just pretty much got wiped out almost to half a man. But then again, I can't really be too upset about it, because Plague Bearers aren't really known for being really good at close combat. What they're really good for is for being a tar pit unit, because they're -1 to hit against in close combat. So, that's the way I have to look at it. Festus the Leech Lord, the empowered version, is very, very powerful. He has excellent magic with level 3 magic. He's got great buffs with his regeneration as well as his pointless attacks. He's just a really good all-around Lord choice to use for a unit. And that Shroudling spell kind of pays for itself in terms of the point allowance, in my opinion. So I recommend taking him in all occasions. He's a blue chip unit, no matter what the circumstances is. So far, I am loving playing this this Legion of Nurgle army. I'm very, very having a lot of fun playing it, a lot of fun putting together and painting it up, and I'm using it on the battlefield. And as always, this was a great game against an awesome opponent, and I'm looking forward to the rematch as well. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest and greatest news about our channel's hobby. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.